As I sit here in the kosel early in the morning before Tefillah Nates, and it's almost with trepidation that I embark on trying to explain the psukim and Sefer Daniel in order to understand the words, the very deep words of the Vilna Gaon in Mishlei, Perek Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Gimel, where he reveals very deep secrets about Mashiach and how each and every one of us can have a part in expediting and speeding up the coming of Mashiach. And in order to really understand properly the words of the Vilna Gaon, we must first learn the seventh parak of Daniel. The Vilna Gaon is based on the seventh parak of Daniel, and Daniel, the seventh parak of Daniel, is where he starts to reveal his dreams. And today we're going to do the first seven psukim, which is really introductory point to the words of the Vilna Gaon. He really starts from the seventh pasuk, but in order to just get the backdrop, we're going to learn it. Daniel first dream took place during the first year of the Melech Belshazzar, right? The Melech Belshazzar, and the Navi tells us in the seventh chapter of Daniel that he had a dream, right? And during this dream, we're going to see that he saw four different animals, right? And the Malbim explains that these four different animals represent the four diasporas, the four gullahs, and each animal is a representation, is symbolic of the tribulations and the experiences we would have in each gullahs. Right? Now, the Navi tells us that during these dreams, there were some significant indications of what was really going on here. First of all, it was night. Daniel was dreaming. But Daniel not only was night when he dreamt, but he was dreaming about the nights. And the Malva explains that when you dream about the night, that is an indication that we're talking about Gullus. Because we know the Gullus diaspora is very dark and very bitter, and we're suffering. The Jewish people are suffering the greatest oppression during these diasporas. So the dreams were shown at night, and at the same time, there were four different winds prevalent at the same time. The Malbim reveals very, very interesting point here. The four winds represent the four diasporas, and they're all relevant at the same time. Right? It's just a question of which one is more powerful. I don't know too much about winds and weather, but it seems that all four winds can be active at the same time, and that's representing that all four gulias are happening at the same time. The only question is which one is more prevalent, which one is stronger, which one is dominant, Now, the we could see this, I believe, today. It's the point I brought out before from Rav Moshe Sternbach. Rav Moshe Ben Dvorai should be well. I may have asked him until live to be 120 and more. That he pointed out at the beginning of the Russian War, the Masorah, the words of the Vilna Gaon that had been passed down from generation to generation through, and he himself, the Rav, is a descendant of the Vilna Gaon, that the Mashiach will come, in fact, after two events. Siman, right? Again, it's not for sure. It's a strong siman that when the Russians go into Crimea, he said, it's the bells of Mashiach, and when they go into Istanbul, put on your Yontif clothing, right? And Rav Moshe Sternbach explained to me that the Russians are Pras today, and the Malach, the angel of Pras, is Dubiel, right? And we'll see that Dubiel is the second Malach, is the second diaspora that was seen in the book of Daniel, and that one is prevalent, is active. It's not prevalent today, but it's active today. There's a sign that all of the diasporas, all the gullahs will be active at the same time. The first animal that Daniel saw was a lion, right? And a lion is fierce. A lion represents the gullahs of Bavel, and Bavel conquered the entire world. That's represented by a lion, and it conquered the entire world quickly, and that's a lion with a winged lion. Right? If you want to know the significance of winged lion, the Malbim says a lion represents world conquest, and the wings represent speedy world conquest. That's the first one. The second one is Prasamadai, as we just said, and Prasamadai is not as strong as Bavel. They didn't conquer the whole world. A bear is less fierce, apparently, than a lion. I wouldn't want to meet up with either one. But the point is that the bear didn't have complete dominance of world conquest, but they were still ferocious. And the bear is what we're seeing today. The Russian attack of the Ukraine represents the upsurgence of Prasamadai and the Malach Dubiel, and that was the second dream that Daniel saw. Second part, the second representation in the dream that he saw. So the first representation that he saw was a lion. That was Galus Yavan. That would take place. Sorry, Bavel. That would take place. Second one was the bear. That would be the Galus of Pras Omadai. The third animal that Daniel saw was the was the um, was the Nemer, was a leopard, and also a leopard with wings. The leopard represents Yavan, and again the Malbim explains that all of these animals represent the manifestation of these powers in this world. When we see Russia conquering Ukraine, right, then that doesn't mean just that the Russian army is more powerful or stronger. It means that the Malach Dubiel in Shemaim is empowered. He, at that time, is given more power, and that gives more power to the people. And the Malbim says in all these three dreams, these three animals represented the representation, the manifestation of these powers in the world. Again, there's Malachim and Shemaim that have control, right? And I'm not sure of the Malach of Bavel and of Yavan. The Malach of Pras is Dubiel. I don't know what the Malach of of Greece and of Bavel is, but the Malach says it represents the power and the manifestation of these malachim in this world. And the third one was the Nemer, right, which also had wings, which also represents the Nemer is not as powerful apparently as the lion, but it would be a speedy conquest. Yavin was Alexander the Great, and actually the truth is that he did conquer the world. He did conquer the world, and it was also a winged leopard because it would represent speedy conquest. So that's the first three animals: the leopard, the lion, the leopard, the lion, the bear, lions, the bears, and leopards. Uh, that was the first one. The fourth one is the one we're going to focus on now, and the one which the Vilna Gaon reveals the secrets of Mashiach from, is an unknown animal. It's Rome, it's Edom, and the Malbim explains that the kingship of Rome is fierce, and um, they have more power and more longevity than the others. All the other three animals in the other three kingdoms were short-lived in comparison. Rome has been empowered for close to 2,000 years. For close to 2,000 years, and there's no sign of when it will end, right? And that is the fourth animal. And in fact, the Navi prophet doesn't tell us which animal it was. We just know it was a very extremely fierce animal, right? And it says the chayla be'ema tekifa yiser. It was incredibly powerful. But it does tell us something extremely interesting about this animal, that it had 10 horns. It had 10 horns coming from its head. And the Malbim explains that these 10 horns represent 10 manifestations of 10 different kingships, which would manifest itself from this kingship. This kingship would also rule over the world, but it would rule over, unlike in the first three diasporas, which were one central power ruling over the whole world or a good part of the world. This would be 10 different manifestations. So these 10 horns, this 10-horned beast, right, which is fierce and had teeth of iron and iron horns coming from its head. So this represents the kingship of Rome, which is currently dominant, and it's dominant in 10 different kingships. 10, who are these 10 kingships? Well, I guess we can only guess about that, right? Who are the 10 biggest superpowers today who are connected with Rome? But as this will see, that the fall of this beast is going to represent the final confrontation, as it were, the final battle and the final challenge that exists before Mashiach comes. And our part in this process is going to be what we can do in order to end this Galus of Edom and to bring about the death, as it were, of this fourth ferocious beast. And that is what the Vilna Gaon reveals with Hashem. We're going to need probably at least another one shir to complete this parak of Daniel, the seventh parak, and then we'll move on to the words of Vilna Gaon, who explains the depth of this mashal, especially, as we'll see tomorrow, the horn which comes up and knocks out some of the other horns. We'll speak about that more tomorrow, Mizrat Hashem. Amen. Cain